Friday to one and all. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back to yet another episode of Sometimes the Old Man is Right. As usual, I am your host, Lamont Ferguson, playing the role of the old man. The old man at sea. Recording this direct from my cabin here on the Celebrity Infinity on the final day of my 3-week run. Hanging out in Greece in the Mediterranean. It's where I've been. Look at that. We made it to 55-0, as in Hawaii, but not. Oh, they said it couldn't be done. But 50 episodes in the can of the most inconsistent podcast on the face of the earth. Season 4, episode 10, if you're paying attention to the minutia. How you been? It's been a while. You good? What's the good word? I'm all right. Thanks for asking. It has been a 3-week tour, is what it's been. 3 weeks of the same itinerary going through Greece. Lots of ports, which makes the days fly by. So the other times I've been on ships where it just seemed like the 3 weeks was 3 years, this 3 weeks seemed like, well, 3 weeks, and a quick one at that. Because it is all over tomorrow. I will make the trip back home to the United States, back to Los Angeles, where it will be good Lord, I don't even know what type of day it'll be. It'll be 12, 13 hours to get to Texas, and then another 3 hours to get home. So that's 16. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day of travel tomorrow. But I will be back in the evening. Leave at 2 in the afternoon out of Athens. Be back at 11:30 same night in Los Angeles. That's that's going to be crazy. I'm highly doubting there'll be pickleball on Sunday. It has been a good trip. I have seen a lot of the world that I'd only seen once before. Once prior, I had been in Santorini, and I think maybe one other. I know what the other port was. The other port was in Croatia, I believe is what it was. And so it was nice to see these, to spend some time there. Very, very nice. I took an excursion, which is crazy for me because I'm out here to make money, let alone give the company back money. But I did so because one of the stops was in Turkey, and you could go to Ephesus in Turkey and go to the Virgin Mary house. And I did that. I did the whole tourist thing on that, and it was well worth the money. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was well worth the money to see the ancient civilization, the ancient lost city of Ephesus, and to see the Virgin Mary house. Although I wouldn't advise anyone to do it on show night, because that's what I did. I did it on the same day that I have a show, which was not the best of decisions that I've made in my life, but I got through the show and the show was good and all went well. All the shows here have been decent. There have been some work on shows because as the itinerary is gone, first week, quite a few Americans on here. Second week, a little less Americans. And this third week, considerably less Americans on here. It is quite a European mix is on this ship. So the shows, it becomes the show for Americans to go to because I'm an American doing stand-up comedy. The rest, because I speak very fast, I did try to slow it down this week. They're not going to understand because they don't understand the language. They understand enough to have a casual conversation, but for comedy, it's a little above a little above their heads. But shows were fine. I was happy with them. Although I will make a comment here, and I don't understand this. Look, cruise industry is into the, oh, this is your cruise, you do what you want. But why are you bringing children to the stand-up comedy show? Why? I don't understand this at all. It makes no sense. And I'm talking anything that's under a teenager, like 12, 13, maybe even from 10 up, some 10-year-olds. You'll have enough patience to just sit and understand some things that take place. But anything below that, why are you bringing that kid to the theater to watch a stand up comedy show? They're not going to understand anything that goes on. I've said before, I'm not a clown. I'm a grown man who speaks about life. And even on the family friendly show, which is not, hey, bring your family. That's not what it, they need to come up with another term if that's what people are misconstruing it as meaning, because it's not for children. They're going to just be bored. They won't understand it and they're going to be bored. Think about today's society. How many electronic items and things do you bring for your child to keep them occupied uh, in a regular daily thing? Hey, we're going to go to the grocery store. Make sure the kid has its iPad so that they're not. If you're bringing all these things to make sure a kid has the attention span and is engaged in things, what makes you think they're going to sit still while an adult talks for 45 minutes? It is just asinine. And it's so frustrating. And also the dynamics on one of the shows this week, a person brought two children and sat up front. And these were like 3-year-old kids that were crying and making noise and coming towards the stage. And the guy's loud and the kids are loud, and you don't understand the fact that maybe he believes this whole universe is him, okay? Him and his children. Well, let me tell you something, people. Nobody thinks your kids are adorable except you. That's it. No one thinks your kids are adorable except for you. Your kids are annoying to everyone else. And in this environment where you bring a screaming kid because you wanted to go see a show, you affect everything. You affect the performer because I've got to concentrate on my own words while this screaming and distraction is going on. And you affect the audience because the audience hears the kid crying and is out of control. And their attention is not on me. Their attention is split on what's that kid doing? Oh my goodness, the kid cried again. This, and you've ruined the whole ecosystem of the comedy. And people will go, well, the comic wasn't good. No, no, no. Audience was a shitty piece of shit. A selfish piece of shit that decided I got to bring my kid to the showroom so they can be disruptive and fuck up everybody else's night. That's really what it boils down to. We have just bred a generation and a society of selfish people that don't understand that maybe I don't get to do everything. There are consequences for whatever your decisions are. I've said this for a long time. I'm from a different generation, and the generation that raised me knew that once they had kids, their social life was pretty much over. You aren't bringing kids to a movie theater because it's disruptive to other people around you. But not today. Today, this society believes, oh no, we can have it all. And we will bring our kids to the movie theater. And if it fucks up your night and your dollars that you spent because you thought you were just going to have a nice, quiet night at the movie, then to hell with you. Because this is my kid and my time, and this is what I do. Good Lord. Can a meteor strike this goddamn planet? I mean, before I'm done with the recording of this podcast. because we have completely screwed up with society. There is no modicum of behavior. There is no decorum. It is me, 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 me. And no one gives a damn about anybody else. So that was a couple of things I had to deal with crying kids in a movie theater. I mean, in a theater where I'm trying to perform, and the parents being completely oblivious to it. And it was a big family too. No one there had enough sense to go, maybe we should take this kid out of here. No one had enough sense to go, you guys go enjoy it. I'll stay here with the kid. No one. Like, oh no, we'll all go. And we'll screw up everybody's night. And then no shame. That's the other thing. Bring back shame. Shame on you bringing your unbehaved kid to a theater that screwed up everybody else's experience because you thought the needs of you outweighed the needs of everyone else. But the shows are over now. I made it through it. Everything was fine. I mean, I don't know. I did my job. I did what I'm supposed to do. Kind of got a weird, you get a weird feeling from different people here. Not that my job is affected by the cruise director, but it is a weird thing that you can't tell where you sit with him. Like, oh, was he happy that I was here? Was he not happy? I have no idea. And at this stage, I don't care. I've said before, you're fighting a different type of breed of entertainer on the cruise ship level because the cruise ship industry is so worried about pleasing everybody, and you cannot please everyone. That's something all of us should know at a certain stage in life. You can't please everyone. And when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. So instead of having 270 Elton John tribute acts or Whitney Houston trivia, how about getting just solid performers that actually do something that they want to do, that they enjoy doing? And I guarantee you the audience will enjoy it as well. But the idea that it's just every male singer is doing Elton John and every female singer is doing Whitney Houston and every comic is doing jokes about the suction of the toilet, then this is the battle I have to fight all the time. Now, every is a gross exaggeration because it is not every singer. I know a handful of singers that do solid shows that are their own shows. And I know a handful of comics that do shows that are their own shows, but they're still few and far between. Very few and far between. So it does get a bit frustrating when I come out here and I do my job and just think, okay, that was more difficult than it needed to be. And then I watch somebody go up and lead a sing along and they're paid a four-figure check a week. Like, that was it? You just went up there and led us sing along? And that was okay. All right. So that was work. I'll go home. I'll have 10 days off, and then it's back to a another ship. Although this time it'll be a return to what used to be the home line, what I affectionately call the home line, Holland America. I'll be going on the Eurodam, joining mid-cruise in Sitka, Alaska, and staying on until it gets back to Sitka, Alaska, and then going home. So it'll be interesting to go back because I've not been on a Holland ship since December. So that will be almost 8 months that I've not been on a Holland America ship. So it'll be interesting to bring some of the new stuff over there and see how that works, see how it plays out. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, back to Alaska, be a little cooler. It's the humidity out here in the Mediterranean that was getting to you. The humidity was killing me. But hopefully the weather should be nice when I get back to Alaska. I did have some interesting observations about some of the places I saw. Look, if you have a chance, I didn't even know Ephesus was a thing, and this is how sheltered I am. But if you have the chance to go to Ephesus, Put that on your bucket list to go do that. That is an impressive sight to see this lost civilization of time BC before Christ, of how things were, how things were built, and it is immense because you pass by and you just think, oh, it's this little kind of field, and no, it's not. It's an entire city, and it is very impressive. I enjoyed my little time in Turkey because of that, although there was some time in Turkey that I did not enjoy, which was the first time I went there. And I think I mentioned this the last time. I am not a barter guy. I'm not a bargain guy. Whatever you tell me the price is, that's the price. Turkey, when you're walking down the streets of Turkey, it is a very aggressive sales people. And I think mainly because it's mostly men. Although in Greece, it's a lot of men too. But if you tell them no a couple of times, they're like, ah, have a nice day. Not in Turkey. In Turkey, no doesn't mean no. No just means I'm going to keep talking and then keep pressuring you. And I was pretty much done with my walk around, about to go back into the ship. And then a guy who was a young kid, he reminded me of Noah, my youngest son. And so I go into the store with him, and then it's just, I mean, 25, 30 minutes later, I just like, no, I need to go. I need to go. And it's just over and what about this? What about this? What about this? And I'm not strong enough. I cave because I feel bad. I'm like, oh, well, this is how they make their living and stuff. And they're using the euro. And I went, okay, to this. They named a price. And I'm just busy thinking that's the price. When I should have said, no, the offer is half because the price that I paid for these four items was ridiculous. And it made me angry for the entire trip. I think I've finally gotten over the anger for it. I won't even tell you the number because I'm so embarrassed as to how ridiculous I got manipulated, and how easily I got manipulated because I was just broken down like a CIA agent, for crying out loud, when I just wanted to go. I could not tell you how many times I said no. Finally, at the end, I said no because they kept, after I spent an exorbitant amount of money, they kept trying to sell me more shit. I'm like, enough is enough. You feel like you want to tell them, you have a family, right? Let me tell you, I also have a family. So I've helped your family more than enough by buying stuff. Why the fuck are you trying to break my family by trying to get me to buy more shit when I've already bought shit? Can't we call this even? I've helped you. I still can be able to take care of my family, and let's go our own way. Why is it a point that I need to walk out of here bankrupt for you to shut the fuck up with your sales? And then what I found out the next day on the tour was this is the way of life. The guy says, oh, yes, you bargain back and forth. That's the beauty of shopping. I'm like, then you guys don't understand what the hell the word beauty means. Because for me, that's not. That's the thing that makes me avoid shopping. As I said before, what's the price? And now I'll decide to pay it or not. But this idea that I'm going to give you a giant price to see if you blink, dude, I don't have that type of time. Nor do I have the patience or the desire to sit and talk to people more. If you know anything about me, that is not a big fan of people. And if this is the modus operandi to, oh, you say something, then I say something, we've already said too much. I don't need to be talking to people that much. So that was my experience in Turkey. Other than the excursion, the tour, that was a sour note of too much of the pressure on stuff for no reason whatsoever. There are times where there was one time I was, this is not even in that store. I was done and I'd kept walking, and now I felt good because of the fact that I knew I could very firmly say no because I've already spent too much money. And a guy's trying to sell me cologne. He's like, what would you think the price? Look, I'm not interested in cologne. I don't wear cologne. I'm not interested in cologne. Why do you keep asking me what would I pay? I would pay nothing. And he just kept going. And then it's a point where you feel like this is going to get like physically confrontational. That's what it feels like. And that's not fun for anybody. How is that fun? How is it fun? You must not be talking to a lot of American tourists who are like me, who go, look, I've told you no twice. The third no comes with a swing. It's as simple as that. Anyway, try to think of, oh, there's one more note on the comic and the cruise ship industry. I should have put this in the other part, but it's the general lack of respect for the comedian position in the cruise industry. And I don't know who's to blame for this. I don't know if it's the comics that keep doing the hackneyed act to the audience, so therefore they don't view what the comic does as being an art form or being an artist. Meanwhile, they do regard the Elton John person as being an artist. They regard the Whitney Houston person as being an artist, which is bizarre. I had been on the ship for 3 weeks. When I got here, there was a vocalists that were here and the magician that was here. The magician's still been here the whole time. Those two vocalists left. New vocalists came on, and the next week they had the list backstage of the performer and their shows, and I was listed as comedian. I'm like, I've already been here. The other vocalists, they had their names on the sheet, but I was listed as comedian. I'm like, well, that's a little disrespectful considering the fact that I've already been here for a week. You already know who I am. Why am I listed as comedian? The following week, which would be this week, I checked the paper again, still listed as comedian. So that's the lack of respect that they have in the cruise ship industry for the comic. Is like, I'm not even going to put your name in there. You're just comedian. You're just box of nachos that shows up every single week. And that is a little grating, considering the fact that the comic is doing the hardest job in entertainment. One, making a group of strangers laugh consistently for 45 minutes, not once, but twice. Two separate 45-minute shows. Meanwhile, the male and female vocalists are singing songs from other artists, and that's it, the end. They're singing songs from other artists. So the audience already has, hey, we heard this song and this conjures up this memory from the original person that sang it. That no one ever goes, oh, I like that version. No, they don't even remember these people's names. But that so a little annoying. It annoyed me the first week. When I saw it the second week, I was expecting to see it. Still a little shocking, but still. All right. As I told you, I go back to Holland America Line. I've not done much as far as pickleball because of the elbow injury. I think I told you about the elbow. Yeah, the elbow injury. So I've not played pickleball because you're up against the ports here. Every day is a port. There's one sea day, and every other day is a port, and there's no one going to be playing pickleball, which is good for me because of the fact that I needed to not play so I could heal. But other than that, I just sit in my room and not do much of anything. I edit videos and try to do a little bit of writing. The television service is not great because the I don't know, whatever it is, the satellite is always on the fritz, it's in and out. So I've not even watched much television. What I have been doing is a horrible thing is I just been scrolling on my phone, which is terrible. I try to not do that as much as possible, and this 3 weeks I've done it more than I've ever done it. And all my feed now is because I've sat too long and watched, but I enjoy it. I like watching someone surprise people that they speak a different language. A white guy going into a Chinese restaurant and then speaking fluent Mandarin. I love that. I could watch a channel of that. That is fantastic. So these are the channels I would like. I would like a channel of servicemen and women coming home to surprise their family, and I would like a channel where people are speaking native tongue to native people that don't look like they should be speaking native tongue to native people. That would be, and that surprised them. That's fantastic. I also saw another one where there was a white guy in the Philippines speaking Tagalog to Filipino folks, and just to see their reaction to it. And that's a weird thing, not a weird thing, but that is it's a huge statement about what it takes for people to just be accepting of other people. And all it is that you try. That because they appreciate the effort. In the Chinese restaurants, most of the Chinese people were like, "Where did you learn Mandarin? Where did you learn to speak Chinese? Because your Chinese is perfect." They know the amount of effort it took, and it is quite commendable as far as the amount of respect that they have for, like I said, a typical white person to try and speak their language. And all it is that attempt to try. And it doesn't work the other way around. If a person comes from a different country to America and they're learning to speak English and they try, there doesn't really seem to be that admiration of, oh my goodness, that took quite a Herculean effort for you to try and speak English here. They're always mocked. They've been mocked from the beginning of time, mocked by their accent, mocked by their time. And, you know, look, this podcast will turn into a racial thing, but that is a racial thing. It's a thing about all we ask from any minority, from white people, is that you make an attempt. That's all we ask. And from white people of minorities, you ask for perfection and then you ask for isolation. That's that's really the gist of it. It's what it boils down to. We just want an attempt. You want perfection and or isolation. And that sucks. Not everybody, but a lot. A lot more than it should be. So that's what I've ended up looking at on my phone is just that over and over again. And now this brings me to it brings me to this before I get to the main point. I joke about saying that we are getting stupider as a society and saying that stupid is not even a real word. But look, man, oh man, I hate that the algorithm feeds you what you look at, but there's so many things that are so shocking, you can't help but look at it. And I see there's a lot of things that make me angry in my algorithm. So that's why I've got to put the phone down. I can't be on the phone anymore because things that make me angry, even though I don't comment on them or anything, I watch them. And then it's like, well, he watched that for X amount of time. Here's something else that'll make you angry. And that's what keeps feeding the algorithm. And I keep watching a lot of these MAGA folks and it's a lot of racism on there and stuff because I keep watching it. So I've got to stop. But there was one thing that I saw that was about the Department of Education trying to jump in on the Celebration of America thing that was putting up a picture saying, know your history. But the picture they put up wasn't from American history, it was from Great Britain's history. And the fact that you've got Linda McMahon, the wrestler wife, is the head of the Department of Education makes it so that this is not surprising. There's a whole bunch of people in many positions all throughout the Trump administration that are highly underqualified to be in those positions. And she is at the top of the list. And yet, because they're loyalty over qualified, which is also crazy because they're also yelling about DEI saying these people are not qualified. Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth is vastly unqualified to be the head of the department, the Secretary of Defense, and he's the main one yelling about DEI. And everyone from top to bottom is vastly unqualified to be in their position. And this is the thing, as a person who has a very high IQ, that's me. It gets so frustrating to look at this. And it becomes a point where you're like, well, I don't know how to fight anymore because it just wears you down. Hell, they've worn me down more so than the Turkish salesman, where I just like let it play out and either let it all end or let's fast forward to see where this ends up because it's not going to be good. It can't be good. Donald Trump has become so wealthy by being president of the United States, and no one cares. The people that do care can't yell anymore because they get shouted down, and the people who don't care so little it's louder than the people that do care. So I don't. Can we get through this? Can we fast forward through this part and get to something else? Anything else? I don't care. End of world. I don't care what we get through, but can we get through this? Because this is asinine. Absolutely asinine. The Department of Education puts, hey, know your history. How about you know your history? That'd be great if you knew your history. You're the Department of Education. Maybe you could look up what the word education means. Is anyone else as tired as I am? Anyone else as tired of the reign of the stupid as I am? And it's not new, it's just more. Which brings me to the main story, and that is about Nolan Wells. For those of you who don't know, Nolan Wells is in the news. He is a 18-year-old male who is now deceased, the late Nolan Wells. 18-year-old male who went out on a trip with his friends. The friends came back with his phone, but without him. And a couple of days after that, he was found, his body was found. Uh, Apparently, the initial cause of death is that he drowned. The, it's very murky around all the surroundings of it. One, the four friends came back without him. There's a racial aspect in this that is being played up that he's a black kid and the four friends were white and that they came back without him in Mississippi. By the way, this is in Mississippi. They came back without him, but did come back with his phone, which is the weirdest thing that you came back with his phone. And then the new news is that not only did they come back with his phone, but something possibly had been tampered with on his phone as if to delete text messages and or social media posts on the phone, which is bizarre. One, that you came back with your phone because the kid was 18. Why would he surrender his phone and go, you take my phone back with you? That's odd. There was also a circumstance where they came back and then deleted all of their social media and lawyered up. One of the kids' moms is a judge, and she deleted her social media, and her statement was that my kid is a kid and he doesn't need to be like it all just seems weird. It all seems bizarre. And I have a very well, there was a couple of things about it. One, uh my kid, Noah, is of mixed race, and his friends actually are there's a mixture of friends. He's got some Asian friends, he's got some white friends, he's got a couple of black friends and stuff. So it's nice. But when you think about that your kid went out, a family sent their kid out, go out with your friends and have fun, and their kid didn't come back. And the four friends that went out there Their stories all are the same. We don't know what happened. Well, that was your friend, quote unquote, your friend. You took them out with you. And you came back. Four went out, five went out, and four came back. And you immediately erased your social media and did all this instead of being panicked saying, what happened to my friend? Where's my friend? Hey mom, we got to find my friend. I don't know what happened to, or the fact that you even left your friend. Pick him up. Okay, no, dude, you come with us. We're going home. Let's go. Come on, let's go. They said, oh, he wanted to stay and talk to a girl. Okay, well, where's the girl? And how about, hey man, get her number. We got to go back now. And if we don't come back without you, we're in trouble. That's what a friend does. Friend doesn't run back and go, man, mom, I need a lawyer and erase our social media. It reminds me of, I don't know if anybody saw the show on Showtime called Your Honor, where the judge's son hit and killed. Well, no, they hit a person, left them in the street, they died, and it turns out that person was connected to a like a mob type guy. And so the whole story was that the judge was then covering for the son legally and finding out what goes on, and then the guy finds out that it just has that type of feel to it when you have a kid who's connected to a judge because that judge knows all the loopholes and everything as how to make it so that you're not guilty because they're going to try to protect their kid. They're not going to say, hey, you know, you need to go turn yourself in. That's not what's going to happen. They don't. When does that happen? They go, hey, all right, well, let me see what I can do. But like I said, there's a family missing a kid and they don't have any answers. And the four people that were quote unquote friends that could give answers now are all in step by saying we have no more recollection of what took place and every statement is the same. And, I'm sure it's just not far from, well, our lawyers have advised us not to comment on the matter. I thought that was your friend. I thought that's what that was. So it makes, and then, like I said, there's a racial aspect of it because black people are like, well, then they weren't their friends. Four white people go and take a black guy out in Mississippi and the black guy doesn't come back. Well, we've heard this story before. We've heard and seen this film before. And how does this continue to play out in 2026? Now, here's an interesting thing. I grew up in El Cajon, California, which is a suburb of San Diego. And I went to a high school called Granite Hills High School. Now, we moved from Pomona, California, out to El Cajon because my dad got a job at a company out there and they moved him out there. And we're in a house, a nice house. We were in a house before, but we're in a bigger house and stuff in a land that I don't know anybody. I left all my friends and now in a place starting all over again. El Cajon is, at that point in time, was widely known as a very white area, especially the area we moved in. There were no one but white people in that neighborhood except for us. My joke when I first got into comedy said that our house was used as a landmark for directions. If you want to know where this is, you go out by the black family's house, you turn left, blah, blah, blah. That's how it was. The high school I went to had 2,000 students. And when my first year, my freshman year, there were probably five black kids at that school. And by the time I graduated, maybe there were eight, and two of those were my sisters. So that we were three out of the eight of the population of black kids at that school. So the majority of my friends were white friends. And if you flip the scenario around, that would have been me with my white friends and stuff, but it was a very different time back then, and I had a very different group of friends. Like everything now is because of society and culture can be boiled down to race, mainly because we never had to talk about race, so race is still an issue. My friends that I hung out with never mentioned race. They never mentioned, oh, Lamont's the one black guy. No, I was just Lamont, the funny guy, Lamont. Amongst them, there was never any talk about it amongst them. It was a small, close knit group of 4 or 5 friends. Now, there were many kids in the school that always mentioned race when it came to me. Those weren't my friends. Those weren't people I hung around with. Those weren't people that I was going to spend time with. But the people that never mentioned it were the people that I knew would have my back. I knew what they knew. Oh, Lamont's got to be home. They would make sure that I got home. So it's a different type of thing. I don't know what these kids and the dynamics were with him. I would like to have thought if they were friends, that race was never mentioned. They didn't even think about him as being the black friend. That's just what Nolan. I couldn't think of his name for a minute. That's just Nolan. But I don't know. So it's just a sad situation. It's a sad situation, and I don't know if we'll ever get down to the bottom of it because of the idea that there is a link to the legal system involved. And the legal system is made to not necessarily, it's made to do what it's to do what it does. And it doesn't necessarily value dark skinned folks. That's why the chant was Black Lives Matter. It's funny that I don't want to rehash this thing, but it's funny that people were like, oh, all lives matter. That was the retort to it, acting like they're stupid. They weren't stupid. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew by saying this, all lives matter, they could get the stupid people on their side. Because black people were like, that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that only black lives matter. We're saying we're saying that black lives matter also, because that doesn't seem to be the case. But they were very smart with how they look. This society is full of stupid. I mean, bubbling to the top with stupid. We can't get enough. Oh my goodness, would you like another helping of stupid? Because we've got some to spare. So they're not, the people that make these decisions are not dumb. Someone that goes, hey, all lives matter. How dare you say that black lives matter more than mine? That's not what anybody said. But a stupid person will go, yeah, that is what they said. Well played. Well done. I saw because, like I said, my algorithm's filled with things that'll make you angry. I don't know. I forgot what the guy's name is, and it's good because he doesn't need publicity. But it was a January 6th guy who was blatantly racist. I love when you sit in the trope of racism where he's white people are inherently better than black people, that black people are not even human, is in essence, is what he's saying. Black people, what did he say? He said black people value playing ball and violence. And I know there's a couple of people that do this. I've seen them where they aggravate a person of color and say, "Yes, you're just violent. You're just going to originally just go right to violence." And it does make the person angry. And they tell them, "Look, I would beat your ass. I really would." And they go, "Of course you would, because that's what you do. That's violence. It's in your thing." And it's a very well played game. It's a very well played game of I'm going to incite you and aggravate you. And once you get to a point of being angry that you threaten me with violence, I go, look, it's in your DNA. You're violent. Meanwhile, that's how any human being would react. Once you incite them to a certain point, they're going to get violent. But it's a very well played thing that a nice little trope that white racists use, and a guy was using that against a guy, and he never stepped to him with violence, but he just kept it over and over again, and it's kind of funny. I would love. I don't know how I would react in that situation. I would probably react the same way I do with audiences that make me mad. A friend of mine, Billy D, he said, "You know what? When you get mad at the audience, you choose smarter material." And I said, "Yeah, that is what I do, because I want them to be insulted by the fact that you didn't get this joke. Well, now I'm going to give you jokes that you really don't get. And that's so that may be the case. That may be how I would handle it is that if they say that you are inferior to me, I would probably challenge them to some type of aptitude test right then and there. There wouldn't have to be any violence. Just let's take a test. Let's take an IQ test. Let's take an aptitude test. Let's take some type of test about knowledge to see if you're right. Let's go. Let's do that. I know they wouldn't, but that would probably be a good way to thwart that, to combat that. Every time I hear it, I always think, what is the counter to this? Because it's a great chess move, but there also has to be a another chess move, a responsive chess move to that move. That's how I think. It's always a thought thing with me. So shout out to the family of Nolan Wells. Hopefully, at some point, we will get down to the bottom of what happened. Perhaps someone will have a conscience and tell the truth about what happened. I don't know. I learned also in the Carmelo Anthony case where kid, the kid's dad was friends with I don't know if that's true or not. That's another thing I've heard, but I'm not sure if that's the case. But like I said, once judges get involved, you can't trust anything. You can't trust any story that comes out because once the legal system is in, you have a card that no one else has access to. And so I don't know if we'll ever figure this out. I don't know if it'll end like Your Honor, which is a great show, by the way. Go check that out. But I don't know how this turns out. But all I do know is that another young man has lost his life and another family is without their son. So cherish your kids, people. Pull them close. Give them a hug. Let them know what's up. But see who their friends are. I'm not trying to make these kids be guilty of anything because we don't know yet. But, you know, check on your kids. Life goes fast. It moves very quickly. All right, people. I don't know what the quality of this will be, but we've just about made it through in the cabin on the microphone that I don't like using. But I did it. Made it through one. The what was the other thing I've been working on is the pickleball comedian thing. That is the so I'll put this out there as well if anyone's paying attention. I had an idea of how to get the pickleball comedian brand viable for to monetize it, and that is to join the pickleball vacation arena. I didn't know if you guys are aware of this because I think I did know, but I didn't know how vast it was. But there are people that go on pickleball vacations. They go out and they just play pickleball. You'll go out to an exotic location and you'll have days scheduled for pickleball, and there'll be instructors to tell you stuff. And depending on where you are, you may also have little excursions that you do on these things, but it's all centered around pickleball. I took a look at a lot of the schedules and I thought, well, that's a good fit for the pickleball comedian. I could go in a couple of days, 2, 3 days, whatever it is, participate in the pickleball function, do some interviews, edit that out. On the final night, put on a show or a night. Doesn't matter if it's the final night, but a night I perform. I perform, a lot of my pickleball stuff that I can't do with regular audiences, and then just regular material. I do a regular 45-minute show and then be on my way. So it adds to the pickleball vacation experience because I looked at a lot of the schedules. Zero entertainment. Zero. It's hey, there's lunch, pickleball. Next day, lunch and pickleball, lunch and pickleball. Lunch. Hey, now we have a tournament and awards ceremony and dinner, and then that's it. Nothing. No entertainment whatsoever. So I thought, well, that's a great fit for pickleball comedian to go into. So I have reached out to a handful of these pickleball vacation companies, and we will see. So we'll see what's doing. Someone has gotten back to me and just said that's a interesting niche. We're not ready for entertainment. We're not at the entertainment level yet, but we'll keep you in mind. And yeah. So what you're saying. So if you're out there, if you hear this, I think what you need is a pickleball comedian to come in, give your uh, give your guests a little entertainment. Let's keep the fun in pickleball because I know a lot of them go out there and they're getting a little frustrated with I want to get better and I got to do this and I got to do that, and it's fun to hang out and stuff. But they, you can't be all just work, work, work. Bring me in. We'll see what's doing. All right, I've blathered on enough. It is time for me to finish packing, which is just a minor amount, go to bed, get up, and do my 75-hour travel day tomorrow. Can't wait to get home. Can't wait to be back at home and see what's doing on the home front. I appreciate all of you for tuning in and listening. What did I say last time? The 9 listeners, but I think it went down to 7 because there were probably people that got mad that I talked about Trump. All right. Well, let's say it's the 7 people. 7, the mighty 7, the magnificent 7. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. You can find all things Lamont Ferguson at lamontferguson.com or pickleballcomedian.com. Come on, people. Bring the pickleball comedian in on your vacation, your pickleball vacation. You can find it there, pickleballcomedian.com, lamontferguson.com, all of your schedule needs. You'll find out where I am and what's going on, what's doing with me. You can email the show at oldmanisright60, oldmanisright60 at gmail.com. I look forward to your questions, comments, whatever you got to say. And I think that's about it. I have talked about a lot here today. I talked about why people are bringing kids at shows. Really, seriously, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you bringing kids to a show? I talk about the lack of respect in the cruise ship industry for the comedian. And by the way, the comedian's the only one doing all original material. 45 minutes, twice of original material. That was the point I was trying to make about the singer singing songs that people already know. Comics going up there doing 45 minutes of original material and then another 45 minutes of original material, which makes it even more difficult. So I talked about that. I talked about Ephesus, which is amazing, historically amazing. And I talked about the aggressiveness of Turkey, HAL ships, how I got to stop scrolling on my phone. You know what I didn't mention? I didn't mention old people. That's weird that I didn't mention anything really about old people or aging. Hmm. Have I gotten used to it? I don't know. Maybe I'll save that for the next one. And I could be wrong about all these things. Hey, could be, hey, you know what? I can't have everything. I can bring my kid everywhere and do all these things with my kid, and your job is just to deal with it. I could be wrong about all of those things. But you know the deal. Sometimes the old man is right. I'll see you next time.